What better way for a son and a father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad. I got permission in the last episode to call him Mac. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the Star Studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network. And this is Dad and the Boys. If you are listening to us on the Fans First Sports Network feed, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're getting your podcast, or if you're watching the video feed on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel that launched this month, we're happy to have you. This is going to be your Cowboys content. This is your new home. And we had a show in store for you because we're like, hey, let's drop episodes on Tuesdays and Fridays. And we expected the press conference to be Saturday because Jerry Jones was taking care of a legal matter with paternity tests, everything, going to court for that. And he got done early, reached a settlement, as he mentioned in the first question of the day. And we actually had our press conference on Thursday afternoon. So, Dad, this press conference has gotten social media a buzzing. What was your major takeaways after we watched this press conference together?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that you got all the Jerryisms.
We did.
He touched on everyone from a gnat's ass to this violin or the fiddle being there to writing a check for the Super Bowl and how large it would be if it was a guarantee, which there is no guarantee. And free agency's taught us that. Teams that load up in free agency and the hype is always on them doesn't always translate to the field. What I did notice was, that they talked a lot. A lot of the questions were directed at Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
I think you even brought it up that you asked me at one point, you was like, is Mike even here?
Yeah, because if you guys didn't watch it, it was like, okay, we're watching it through the YouTube feed, and it was a solo shot. Whoever was speaking was having the camera solely focus on them. We don't do that here at Dad and the Boys. We want to see both these faces on your YouTube channel. And I was like, I've seen Jerry, I've seen Steven, and I'm like, Dad, is Mike McCarthy there? And then somebody asked the contract question going into this season without contract. And I was like, oh, Mike McCarthy is there. There's evidence. But yeah, a lot of the questions directed to Jerry at this one.
They were. I mean, and I blame that on the media. They focused more on the contract situations and who wasn't there and Jerry's legal issues. Then they really did focus on what to expect from this football team that's getting ready to have their first practice. Right after the press conference, I think that's how they ended it was, hey, practice is getting ready to start. We're gone. And that's what we really need to know is, what are the guys looking like?
Yeah, we got none of that.
We didn't. I did go back and look, and I did see a feed. I've seen stuff on social media stating, different things, like the first team offensive linemen were Chuma Edoga and Tyler Smith, and then Brock Hoffman and Zach and
Terrence Steele.
So the rookies are actually going to have to earn their way, which is expected. They need that adjustment period coming in from college. I did find on YouTube a couple clips and stuff because I was kind of curious. Remember our last episode, you asked me who I was interested in seeing.
Yeah.
And one of the persons was Trey Lance. And one of the feeds said that, Trey was overthrowing a lot of places, a lot of receivers. But I will say this, I found about a 2-3 minute clip of practice from Thursday afternoon. And Trey looked sharp. I mean, he was putting the ball where it had to go. I was like, this is the number 3 overall pick that we've been waiting on. It was not to blow smoke or not to start the hype train for Trey Lance, but it looked good.
I will say this: it's not all sunshine and rainbows with Trey Lance, though. I saw a clip on Twitter of it was a very short, simple route. Probably throwing from me to my dad, and there was a linebacker, of course, maybe a little further distance, obviously, and a linebacker like bad the pass, basically like kind of through the receiver's hands almost, and somebody picked it. I was like, huh. And I think it was RJ Ochoa, famous, guy who's covered the Cowboys for several years. He's like, that wouldn't have happened in his old 15 jersey. Now he switched to Miles Austin. Then that was the result. But I mean, that's one play out of a bazillion of hours.
Hey, when Zeke comes back and wants 15, he's back. Let him have his college number. I'll still don the 21. I wish that the press conference had been more about the football aspect, even though, some of the stuff about the contracts was interesting.
It really was. And I feel the same way. I wish we had learned more about, and he touched on it a little bit, like Cooper Beebe versus Brock Hoffman at the center position. Like there were little stuff, but it was like, man, I want to hear about the receivers who are in the building, like Ryan Florney. We talked about our first episode. What's at cornerback right now? How's Trayvon doing after his ACL? But it really put into perspective, just any teams doing these offseason holdouts, because I mentioned this on Out of Pocket yesterday, live at 5:30. We'll do another one Friday live at 5:30, talking some more sports. That goes general, like football, basketball, wrestling, whatever. But I was like, man, like Brand Ayuk holding out, Trent Williams holding out. For the Cowboys, you got Ceedee Lamb holding out. But Zach Martin did this last year, and he became the highest paid guard in the NFL. Zeke did a few years ago, and what happened? He got the highest contract for a running back. And so I know Ceedee Lamb is expecting to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And I'm sure that record will be broken in a couple of weeks when the next guy signs his contract. But do you think this is going to end up like Zach Martin and Zeke's contract holdouts?
Well, if you watched if you were out there and you saw how Jerry Jones reacted, he's like, it's business as usual, guys. If it wasn't these 3 guys that were up for a contract, it'd be 3 more guys. It's the nature of the beast in the NFL. And you wrote an article on how it could be done where we can sign all 3 of them.
Available on Fans First Sports, by the way.
That's right. And Jerry Jones touched on it briefly about how much they're going to have to allocate for the cap, although I think that was an exaggeration on his part. Because I actually saw an article, I think it was by Dan Rogers on Blogging the Boys, that did an article about quarterback contracts. And he broke it down, and he showed that, the way they allocate this and they maneuver the cap maneuver, whatever Dak signs for, you're looking at between 20 and 22% of the cap. And if Dak's your major contract and he's counting for 20 or 22%, chances are Ceedee Lamb's going to count for anywhere from 10 to 15, as well as Micah.
Yeah.
They're not going to get quarterback money. They're going to get a lot of money, but they're not going to get quarterback money. So there you're at 40, 50, 40, 45% of your cap, not 70, Jerry Jones. So you do, but what that does do, and what we spoke about last time, is why I'm so hyped on Trey Lance, and I'm hoping that he does flourish and stuff, is because I do like Cooper Rush. You know me, I'm an optimistic person when it comes to the Cowboys. You see me every year. Once they don that star, it's like they're in my family. Once they leave that star, I disown them.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's through retirement. Michael Irvin will always be a part of my family. You know, and I take family very seriously. So it's one of those things that, you know, they can get it done. And I think they will get it done. But unfortunately, Cooper Rush, what his record was over the last few years, will have to be done with less talent around him. And that's the nature of the beast. That's the reason Biotish is in Washington. That's the reason Tyron's in New York. That's the reason Pollard's in Tennessee. And Steven touched on those things. You know, you're going to have younger talent come up and contribute because of these large contracts. The good thing is there's two certainties about the NFL. One, the cap will go up, barring a COVID issue like a few years ago. And two, the Dallas Cowboys have had a good history of drafting. And they've restocked that pile with talent. So I do find solace in that simple fact.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And Jerry Jones mentioned this too. And this will be a shorter episode than, you know, what we did previously, because again, most of the focus was on, you know, Jerry's court case versus Ceedee Lamb holding out. Like there wasn't too much. And again, like I wish the media had covered what the players were actually doing. But when it comes to the salary cap, I mean, Jerry said it on record before, like there's probably no owner in the NFL who has a better understanding of where the cap's going to be in 5 years than Jerry Jones. Now there are times Jerry, you know, speaks and you're like, what did he say? And at the end of it, the result is he said nothing, but he made you think he said something. Some people he can deceive, some people he can't, you know, with how much information he gives. But I mean, that's honestly true. Like the amount of negotiations Jerry Jones is in, like the reason we have a team in Las Vegas is because of Jerry Jones. And I do want to touch on, we'll get a quick commercial break. And we are going to talk about Michael Gallup and his retirement from the NFL, because we did just mention Las Vegas and he spent his entire career in Dallas. But that'll come. Mac, do you have any? That was weird. That was really weird. I called you Mac. My dad, his dad and the boys. Do you have any other wrap ups about, you know, worries about salary cap or anything?
The one thing is Stephen Jones said these things take time. And son, you know yourself, as you've grown into adulthood and you've started taking that responsibility, you've got a job and you're earning money and, you know, you're making purchases for car repairs or whatever, equipment, expenditures. It's easy to spend somebody else's money. Now, when we were going here and there and you as a kid, you had no problem spending daddy's money.
I still don't.
You didn't think about it. But when you started spending your money and it started coming out of your checkbook and money that you earned, you took a little bit more thought. Do I really need this item? Well, you know, we're not talking about, you know, $100 here or $1 here. They're talking millions.
Yeah.
And millions of dollars. And I will say this, when we were in Jacksonville, one of the most gracious, kindest persons I ever met, and he offered you great advice, was Mickey Spagnola.
Oh, that's right.
And Mickey had one comment that is so true. For those of you out there that are Dallas Cowboy fans and you're worried about Ceedee Lamb, if he's going to play or not this year, Ceedee Lamb is scheduled to make $17.99 million. That breaks down over an 18-week season, counting the bye, to about $1 million per week. Now, guys don't miss paychecks. So CD will be there week 1.
Yeah, that is I'd be hard pressed to give up $1 million, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you're listening on the Fans First Sports Network, Boom Broadcasting will stay here. But when we come back, we're going to briefly touch on Michael Gallup and his impact with the Dallas Cowboys on Dad and the Boys. Welcome back. If you're joining us on the Fans First Sports Network, listening to our audio feed right now, welcome back from that quick commercial break. If you stayed with us on Boom Broadcasting's YouTube channel with the video feed, thank you as well. Covering the press conference, but more news broke. This isn't directly tied to the Dallas Cowboys because he was released from his contract and he signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, but he will never play a game for the Raiders as of this moment. Michael Gallup retired. And I mean, I know we promised them a shorter episode, but I'd be remiss without mentioning Michael Gallup. And I don't know what your thoughts were, but I mean, every time we watched him, it was toe drag swag. He was making these ridiculous catches that extended like 3rd and longs and gave the team a chance. Like, he did everything he could. I just don't think he was the same player after his injury. What were your overall thoughts on Gallup's career and how he'll be remembered in Dallas?
Well, Dallas is a fickle community, and their fans are, unfortunately, we're fickle. I hope he's remembered fondly. I truly do like Michael Gallup, and I loved watching him play. One of the greatest memories I have of Michael Gallup actually wasn't on the football field.
Really?
We were in Atlanta, Georgia for your very first football game watching the Cowboys. Michael Gallup played that week, by the way. He didn't take the Dallas charter home. He took Jerry's personal jet home. But the reason he stayed behind in Atlanta was because of the death of his brother. And that showed me the heart of the owner, Jerry Jones, the man, that, he puts his players above all else, and they give me hope as a person in human nature, to see, Jerry do that for one of his players. And it often goes unsaid. We talk about Jerry, during the press conference, they was like, well, you're the GM, why are you the only GM that's the owner in the league? And Jerry's like, I bought this team. I was fortunate enough to do it. Basically, I know I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to try to imitate Jerry speak.
I mean, it would be quite the feat.
But he basically said, I bought this team, and this is the only way I know to do it, and this is the only way I'm going to do it. And I can't blame him. Again, it's a lot easier to spend other people's money. So he's spending his own money. And I respect him. And everybody calls and they say, I hear fans all the time on social media, when are we going to get a real NFL person? When are we going to get a real NFL GM and player personnel or whatever? They've been doing this for 35 years. What qualifies someone to be a real NFL person? Both Jerry and Steven played college ball. No, they did not play pro ball, but they have been in the NFL for 35 years. At what point did we classify them as real NFL GMs and real NFL front offices? Yeah. Because I mean, the one thing that you can say about what's the job of an NFL front office? To acquire talent.
Yeah.
Dallas has 14 Pro Bowlers and 12 All-Pros taking the field this year. Their first round draft picks have been Pro Bowlers more than any other team in the NFL over the last 15 years.
We don't consider Taco Charlton, by the way. We do not claim
Well,
him.
everybody's going to have that one pick or two picks that just for whatever reason don't pan out. Morris Claiborne, was probably supposed to be a Hall of Fame cornerback. Unfortunately, injuries played a role in his development, and he never panned out in Dallas. Taco Charlton, he never panned out. Hopefully, Mozzie's not going to follow that thing. Everybody's saying that he's looking good so far as his weight and everything, and hopefully Mike Zimmer can help bring that out. But they acquire talent not only in the first round, but second and third and fourth round. We got our quarterback in the fourth round.
We got Michael Gallup in the third round.
We got Deron Bland in the fifth round. We got Trayvon Diggs in the second round. Yes, not everybody is going to be the first round Michael Parsons, but I haven't seen any first round Michael Parsons in the last 10 years come through on any team.
Yeah.
Probably the closest to that was Deron. Not the kid that just retired in LA, Aaron Donald, back when Zach Martin came in more than 10 years ago. They acquire the talent for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And they negotiate through the contract. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I will say this. They have actually improved, I think, in that process because, look, your five money positions are quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive end, and cornerback. Look where the money's going to go. Quarterback, Dak, wide receiver, Ceedee, tackle. Well, we got two young tackles right now. Defensive end, Micah Parsons, and cornerback Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
All of those guys right now, other than our tackles who are young, have been Pro Bowls or all pro players.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good. And the way that they found gems in the third round, like a Michael Gallup back in 2018. And Gallup was never like the number one option. He wasn't supposed to be. Like he was the third round pick. He played on the team with Amari Cooper. He played on the team with Ceedee Lamb.
He was always going to be the wide receiver number 2 until Ceedee came along and fell into Dallas's lap. And now he was wide receiver number 3.
Yeah.
And there's only so many snaps that can go in a game, and there's only so many balls that can go out to the wide receiver. And if you got Amari and Ceedee taking receptions, you're only going to get so many. The year before, Ceedee was his greatest year, and he was over 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Michael Gallup played 86 games in his career, 266 catches, almost 4,000 yards, and 21 touchdowns in just a short career from 2018 to 2023 and retired. Hoping he signs a one-day contract with Dallas.
And if you look back, if you check up the stats on that, all of those are ranked fairly high on the Dallas all-time list. I think he was ranked at like number 11 in yards.
Wow.
As a receiver. Which is hard to believe, at just shy of 4,000 yards that he would be ranked number 11. I think he was ranked in the top 20 on pretty much all the stats as far as receptions, yards, and touchdowns.
Wow. I wouldn't even think that. That took me by surprise. And I even caught my dad with surprise by the Michael Gallup news. But what we hope to happen is we hope the media covers it, what actually happens in training camp with the people there. And that's what we'll cover on our next episode on Tuesday, right here on Boom Broadcasting's YouTube channel and the Fans First Sports Network feed, the Star Studded Cowboys Network. So for now, you may now return to your regularly scheduled lives. Thanks for tuning in to Dad and the Boys. with Mac and Michael, powered by Boom Broadcasting and Fans First Sports Network on the Star Studded Cowboys Network. And remember, this isn't our first rodeo. We'll catch you here next time.